go.
Yeah. So, for the first time we've spoken on camera, we do have our kind of like to and fro sometimes on thingy. So we're talking about the NIKAB. We've had a little bit of discussion about Islamophobia and it growing. And do you want to talk about what you said about Ralph, or do you want to leave that?
Well, it depends if Leon's okay with me. I took issue with Leon because I feel like Ralph has given a platform. So Leon, on Leon's channel, has been quite prevalent. And to be fair to Leon, he says, well, Ralph's wanted to. That's fair enough. But if somebody is directly saying they want war on Islam and they want to deport Muslims or get rid of them by whatever means, to me, that whilst we should hear his voice, he shouldn't be given such a big platform because at the moment in society, Islam is under threat, and you agreed with that, didn't you?
Yeah.
So my point is a racist. So my point to you was that he's riding the wave of Islamophobia, and my point was you do too. Yeah. Because I feel like you talked about the NIKAB, something that doesn't affect you at all.
Yeah, I mean, I disagree with that. It doesn't affect me. We are a society where we have to live together.
My question to you
was... Hold on. What it is, we have to live together. And one of the things that when we're living together, we should be able to communicate easily with each other and be able to approach each other in a way that's kind of can build relationships. And what I'm trying to say is that I fear that
and you feel the same way about Jews. You feel
the same with Jews. I think the Jews are very insular as well.
But
the problem is we don't have many Jews here in the park.
How many NIKABis do we have?
So what I'm trying to say is that when it comes to the NIKAB, I've seen it incrementally increase in numbers.
Okay.
So I'm from an area which is a Muslim area. I'm not going to say where because people will start chasing me down. And so I remember when I was growing, I never saw a NIKAB, and it's a Muslim area. Then I started seeing a few NIKABs, and now I see quite a few NIKABs when I go out to my local supermarket. So if that's the case now, and what will happen when the Muslim community grows and people become more orthodox, I'm worried that you might have females who are wearing the NIKAB increase by such a degree that it's going to be hard for people to interact with these females or these people. I'm not talking about before I say this. I'm not talking about in the hold on. Before it goes, I'm not talking about sexually because these pervert things about sexually. I'm just talking about interacting just in a normal, everyday manner.
Look, we agreed, didn't we? We agreed that Islam at the moment is really struggling because there's a lot of Islamophobia around. Yeah, you agree with that?
I don't know if I agree with the word Islamophobia. I think there's a lot of misconceptions about Islam.
Exactly. So Islam is kind of on the it's being witch hunted at the moment.
Yeah, I would say.
To me, you're aware, and we talked about. You said that after a terrorist attack, Sikhs are obviously under threat.
Yeah.
Imagine what the NIKABi sisters have to put up with after a terrorist attack, after grooming gang. The NIKABi sisters are on the front line of hate crime.
Yeah, and I think that's abysmal.
And therefore, you are publicly on camera talking about a NIKAB, nothing that affects you. And you're telling them it's wrong and things like that. It's a subject that doesn't affect you at all. But you, in this climate,
this is where
you're willing to put on camera. You're riding the wave. Riding the wave.
But this is where I think you've got it wrong. When you're saying it doesn't affect me at all, it does affect me. When I'm going outside and
But as a human, can you let it go? Can you let it go?
No. All right. So
because you don't talk about Jews. You don't talk about that. Why attack Islam?
All right.
At a time when you've agreed that Islam is on the.
The thing is that if we just say, all right, so this particular subject matter is quite contentious. Let's not talk about it. Then we might as well stop talking about everything. Now the subject matter. Now I will say one thing. I will say one thing. I was wrong in the way I conducted myself and the way I said it. I said I want to ban the burqa. What I should have really done was to say, let's talk about the problems with the burqa in social cohesion. And that would have been a much more productive conversation. And that's something I'm trying to learn. Like you can...
The social cohesion argument, so obviously you've taken your mask off, I don't know.
Yeah.
But, can you explain that? Because obviously I see you on a live stream, and I'm not making fun of you. I see you on a live stream, there's a picture of you holding a gun. You'll talk for 6 hours, no one can see your face. No one can see your actions on it. You quite happily have conversations online.
Yeah.
What's your problem with the NIKAB?
Well, when it comes to the NIKAB, whether you like it or not, when you're in real life in front of somebody, there is something that people would like the choice to be able to see that person's face and to be able to talk to them and humanize them. The problem we have with this year is that we have a situation within the UK where there is divisiveness between the communities. They're not interacting in terms of the white indigenous population and say with the Muslim community.
Okay, so it's not just the Muslims though, is it?
But the Muslim community community, if you're talking about the least integrated group, it is the Muslim community.
It's the Raza Rizvi brothers.
So the Mutta brothers, Big up to the Mutta brothers.
Muslims don't integrate. There are Muslims in every school.
I'm
The
saying-
Muslim gangs are Raza Rizvi.
I'm-
You know that.
I'm saying that. I'm not saying they're not
Nothing
integrated.
against Jews, but are you saying Jews integrate more than Muslims?
I think the Jews are a problem as well in the sense of them not integrating and being kind of like stuck in their own
What
little
is
community.
integration? Do you want everyone chatting and sitting around having a good time?
All right. So this is where people will start saying you want people. Before I go on, I agree with modesty. There is a lot of things that people don't realize when it comes to Islam. I do agree with. I agree with dressing modestly, and I think the hijab and things like that are perfectly fine. My sister wears certain clothing. So, but I don't want to have to. Because a lot of people think, oh, because I'm saying don't wear the burqa, it's automatically I want people to dress in a particular way. I agree that, dressing modesty is a good thing, but when it gets to the point where you're having a situation where you have a group of people, which I want to call the Muslim community, and they're having problems integrating in certain degrees compared to the other ethnic groups, because you have to understand, as a Sikh and Hindu community, we have integrated much better than, say, the Muslim community. There's no doubt about that. Yeah.
No.
And so
That-
what's happening is that I'm just saying that this situation
And
with
what's the importance of integration?
well, we're gonna have to live together, so we need to
That
be able
means
to
that
coexist.
means you have to eat baked beans
Yeah,
and
we
that.
need to be able to
That
coexist
means
here.
baked beans and that.
And so the thing is that whether you
No one has to eat
like
baked
it or
beans
not,
for
there are people
like
around the
breakfast,
UK
lunch and dinner,
that are
you know?
not speaking to each other for whatever reason.
They don't
Yeah.
like
So the further you got, I think when we're in London, we have this kind of misconception about everybody's getting along fine. But when you go up
There's a
north,
difference between
you have total communities that are totally segregated, and when you have another aspect on top where people are not showing their faces. I'm not saying from the side of the other population, the white indigenous population, they may find it hard to speak to those people, and it causes more social division, and also it dehumanizes someone.
I think I heard you once say. I think I heard you once say that you don't like humans. You sit
I'm
at
a
home a
misanthrope.
lot. So someone that sits at home a lot like yourself, you don't integrate. Saying you're sitting at home, it's your choice to do that, isn't it?
All right, there's a difference.
No one says that Raj has to
integrated
go
to
and
his
smile
basement.
and
All
chat to
right.
everyone.
So
To me, the social cohesion is.
All right, so-
anyway, this isn't what we are. The
No, but
conversation was about. This wasn't the-
let me just.
The point is, why were you talking about it? Why are we talking about
All right,
it?
so let me just answer the question. First of all, being a misanthrope, that's someone that distrusts and dislikes humanity, is not the same as somebody that doesn't interact with humanity.
12 hours a day.
I still interact with people, and I still have social contact with people. What I'm trying to explain to people, I fear, this is just my own fears, I'm not saying it's reality, that if the way things are going in the UK in terms of certain, like the Muslim community, kind of like, not being able to kind of what I say, I don't want to say the word they're not integrating, I'm saying that they're not integrating as well as other communities.
Muslim community. Give me an example of a community that are integrating better than the Muslims.
Oh, definitely the Sikhs and the Hindus. There's no doubt.
But you're a Sikh.
No doubt. No doubt.
Biased
No doubt.
cunt.
So the Sikhs and the Hindus, in every demographics, we are superseding the Muslim community in terms of education, in terms of wealth.
And is that your opinion, or is
It's
that,
facts.
This is your
No, no,
opinion.
no, no.
Right,
So
where's that
Hold on,
say?
so
Where's
I'll
that-
bring it.
where's
I'll
that-
bring it
So
next
you
week.
highlight-
I'll bring it
yeah,
next week.
no, I'd like to see that.
Yeah. So I'll bring it next week. So when it comes to, because you don't understand the nuances of the Asian community. We have communities, and when it comes to communities that are more integrated and doing better in terms of wealth, in terms of education, in terms of even in terms of employment, lower prison
Can I
rates.
take you back to my point? Is
So
that-
lower. But one thing I can definitely say is that the Hindus and Sikh community have a population of maybe between them like 3%, and the Sikhs are like maybe 1%.
deserve a medal.
But we do have our prison rate is in line with our
Them Sikhs like
population.
to go to the
With the
pub.
Muslim
Them
community,
Sikhs like to go to the
their
pub.
population is around 2
Well.
to 3%, but they have a population prison rate
Shut
of
up,
15%.
you're lying, bruv.
So you have
You're
to
lying.
understand there's a
You're
lot of
lying.
areas
You have
that
to understand
the Asian
your
Muslim
community
community
it's not that
are
much.
not
Okay,
doing
okay.
well, and there's got to be a
But you're
reason
still
behind
in
it.
jail for
Okay, look,
doing
And
that.
that is I'll bring the
There's
To me,
statistics
bring it,
next
because
week.
to me the
This guy,
social
you know.
cohesion argument is very weak. It is very weak to me. But bring your stuff.
Weak,
But the
you're
point
weak.
was that obviously you agreed that Nikabi sisters or even hijabi sisters are on the
Yeah.
front line of a lot of hate.
Yeah.
So you as a human being, you don't like that, do you? After a terrorist
No,
attack.
I don't want no one to be
You know,
hurt or harassed or
so
nothing.
my point to you was, by you on camera talking so much about issues like snip lulas,
snip,
and
Little lula.
and Nikabi
Little
sisters
lula.
particularly.
Little lula guy.
Things that don't
Raj's
affect
lula,
you.
this
Things
one.
that don't affect you. To
Lula,
me,
lula,
to
little
me,
lula.
is a far right. Is a very
Remember
far
you
right
said it on
thing.
camera,
And
little lula.
I whilst you're a funny guy on your live stream and stuff like that, I have to stand against sometimes your choice to talk about certain subjects which don't affect you.
All right, so let me say something about the circumcision. I'm actually against circumcision, full stop. And that's not to do with Islam. On top of that, I'm against halal meat and all slaughter.
Hey, what's wrong with
What
me?
the fuck? Are you against circumcision?
I used to be
What, do you like dicks or something?
I used to be a vegan. So when I
you're
talk about,
against
He likes
kosher as
sticks,
well.
I'm
bro.
against kosher.
Man's
I think
against
all of them are wrong.
circumcision.
Even slaughterhouses,
Even
even normal slaughterhouses.
Why don't I hear this? Why don't I hear you talking about?
yeah, I mean, if you listen to most of my stuff, you
likes
don't
dicks.
go through the whole thing. The other thing is, I'm against the death penalty, full stop, including the American penal code
Fine.
system.
Why are you
So,
obsessed with
so when I'm criticising certain
not
things,
careful.
like
What,
the
you
death
just
penalty
halal
under
meat now?
Islam, I'm not just talking about Islam. I'm talking
Islam
about death penalties in general.
obsessed.
When I'm talking about circumcision, I'm talking about circumcision in general, not because of Islam.
And look, I'm not saying you can't criticise Islam. You
Yeah.
know, if you
I love halal teaching.
If there's certain things
Yeah.
you disagree with,
I
that's
love
good to
halal
debate
teaching.
about. That's good to debate about.
Yeah.
My point with the Nikabi sisters, and obviously we're talking about Ralph, is obviously just riding this wave of.
I think the Ralph situation for
Ralph's a
me
sellout.
is I think it's important to let
See
people
how
like
you
that
make the
speak.
teaching halal? You have to.
Because-
I think
because-
it's important to speak.
And
But
then you have to roast it.
my original point was that Ralph on COE was given a platform bigger than I think most others. He was on 4 out of 5 of the live streams.
Yeah.
This is probably because he bugs Leon to be on his streams. He's probably
Yeah.
really desperate to be out there.
Yeah, Ralph
And-
is
and-
clever, but
and-
he's,
but
let me say, he's
I
a stupid
think
cunt.
obviously,
Ralph's
and
a
obviously you
stupid
stand against it, don't you?
cunt.
Yeah.
You stand
Drinks
against his
Carlsberg.
comments and things like that. So
And if I'm being
the
honest with you,
challenge I had with Leon was why are you giving a guy like
alcoholic
that such
moron.
a big platform? I have no problem listening to Ralph. We
Yeah.
need to hear people's
Yeah.
views on Islam. But
This is
the
what
fact
Ralph
that he's
does.
been now, Ralph's been given this kind of.
That's what he
Because
does.
he's been
He
coming
uses
here a while, I
his
think. He
hands
used
and
to
he
be
thinks
some
he's very
drunk guy that used to stand in the corner.
Yeah.
Now he's like almost becoming a figure
Yeah.
of.
But I feel
becoming Raj's
like
idol.
I feel like I've always said I'd
Raj's
even let a
Raj's
Nazi
idol.
talk
He's upgraded
because
from
to
Raj.
hear their views is important.
Me too.
Because
Ralph
you
is
need
an
to hear
upgraded
that
version of Raj, yeah?
he's somebody, whether you
Is that what
like it
you're
or not, there are other people like him in the UK.
Agreed.
Yeah, and at least he has I'm not going to say the guts, but at least he has something that most of the others do, which is they're hiding it inside, which I think is more dangerous. In order for, when he talks, for
Yeah,
me,
they're
it's-
using
it's-
a token
for,
Indian
for
to
talk,
speak.
for talk here, when
They're
he
using a
talks
token
and he
Indian
starts
to
saying,
speak.
oh,
Like
I want
Ralph,
to deport
innit?
Muslims, what
Yeah,
it does
Ralph's
to
the
me is
token
make me
Indian.
think about my own morality, and and I think to myself, I'd never let that happen. Now, I can't think about that if people are not saying it. It would be hard for me to, but when a man's saying it to my face and I'm like, all right, he says, I want to deport this group, I want to deport that group, I'm like, hold on a second. That's not going to happen
Here's
to
the
my
thing,
watch.
obviously, I'm Muslim, so
You should have
so
be
if-
open like that. You
for
should
me,
be open like that. You know that you say.
Tommy Robinson deserves to be heard,
Big up Tommy Robinson.
but if
Fuck Tommy
if
Robinson.
Big down.
if he
The
was-
BBC
Big
Panorama
down,
is going to
Tommy
get
Robinson,
BBC
big
Panorama
down.
is gonna
Tommy
get
Robinson
screwed.
is his guru.
if he was on every, do you still agree with Tommy?
I don't agree with Tommy on everything. I think some of
His
his
guru is Tommy
I think
Robinson.
I think some of his
Guru Robinson.
rhetoric about Muslims being to blame for literally everything, and I do find
Fuck
that
Tommy.
disconcerting to myself.
But you just bigged him up.
I still think
Big him
overall
down,
I can
Raj.
still
Big
big
him
him up and
down.
don't have to agree with everything he does.
Big him down.
You understand?
Big him down.
I'm more
Big him
nuanced
down.
than that.
Big him down.
You understand? I could say to you, I can big up, somebody and I agree with like 60% of what they say. Well, maybe to you,
I agree with Ralph on Brexit. I'm not going to go big up Ralph.
No, but the thing is, but the thing is, I support Tommy Robinson on a lot of things, so I will still big him up for that. And the sacrifices he's made.
Suck
You're
his
Islamophobe.
lulu.
But
You
there
know
are
you're
things,
Islamophobe.
there are
You're
things
a
that
Islamophobe.
he says
You're
and
a
he
Islamophobe.
does that I do not agree with, but I still support him overall.
Okay.
But I don't
Sucking
believe
Tommy
ignoring
Robinson's
these
lulu.
people. I don't believe ignoring these people is the way forward. The way forward is to talk to these people.
Ignoring it is, I agree.
Talk
I
to
agree.
him about
You-
what?
So sometimes, people blame me out to bring the supposed right down. Now, for me, I say to people, when they come down,
straight
talk
cold
to
with
them. How are you going to change people's minds about because all right. So when I'll give it. This is my.
That was a horror film.
No, this is my bodyguard. He's my bodyguard. Jesus, he's my bodyguard. He's my bodyguard. Okay. So basically, just to give you an example.
Tell us like Dan, high IQ or low IQ?
Sorry?
High IQ
Right,
or low IQ?
so let me give you an example. When I first went to
High IQ or
Speaker's
low IQ?
Corner,
High IQ.
I hadn't
No,
interacted
low
with Muslims for a long
Low
time.
IQ.
And so all I saw was the
I've seen a
news.
change in you.
I saw the news, yeah, and remember when I first come down, you had the terrorist attacks in 2017, loads of grooming cases, and so when I come down, I was much higher, and all I kept on hearing was Salafi this, Salafi this, and so I equated Salafis
He's
with
homosexual.
terrorists.
He's a homosexual.
If
You're
I
a
go on
homosexual,
Speaker's Corner and
man.
say,
Have you?
on
now,
one of the videos,
have you?
all
now-
Salafis should be shipped over to Guantanamo
likes
Bay.
men.
Yeah, if I kept that quiet,
He
I
likes
wouldn't have
you.
had Shamsi come up to me and go, Raj, this is what Salafis are. Do you understand? So sometimes speaking openly, it may be hard for
He
people to
likes
hear.
you.
It's your
But
boyfriend.
if you don't speak openly,
You
how are
like
you going to
you.
get challenged and how are you going to change your views?
I agree with that.
Yeah, so when he told me,
I
and
like you.
explained to me,
I am not.
then I started realising the word
He-
Salafi
you-
doesn't
high
equate to
IQ,
terrorists.
He like me.
Yeah, most Salafis I met, some of the best Muslims that I met are actually classify themselves as Salafis. So I
Picking
can't
and
now
choosing,
equate.
Raj.
So this is what I'm
Picking
talking
and
about. When we talk, it may be uncomfortable
Doesn't
to
it
talk about
look like a
certain
giraffe?
aspects, and it is a fine line between talking and creating hate for a certain group of
If
people.
we
And I
want to
agree
talk
with
about
you.
terrorism on grooming gangs and things like that, even as a Muslim, we can have a chat, and I don't agree with any of that. either. We all want to get rid of that. My point earlier was all the other stuff that you sort of go into. So do you disagree that you're not riding the wave of the anti-Islam thing on your channel?
I mean, let me say something. I'm not saying I'm not. I'm trying not to.
Okay, fine.
So there's a difference. I'm not gonna. If people feel I am, I can't ignore your
And
views.
I've never heard you disrespect the Prophet, peace be upon him.
No.
I've never heard you insult the Quran. So
No.
I've never heard anything out of you that would make me want to,
All right, so the reason I don't do that, all right, I have he's saying Tommy Rhodes is my guru and stuff. Fair enough. And Omar last week said your guru suck your guru for a straw. I did not retaliate. Do you know why? Because I believe that
Why are you mentioning Omar, man?
people's rap boy. But so basically, when it comes to someone's prophets, I don't want to disrespect your prophet because then you will disrespect my gurus. Yeah, I don't want to disrespect Allah because I still believe in God.
Listen,
call it
let me tell
Allah,
you,
I
he
call it
disrespects.
Waheguru, yeah?
You indirectly disrespect, bro.
But the Quran is what.
Listen, you
are
was
very
with
rarely
Tan.
talking
You was
about
with
the
Tan.
Quran.
When Tan used
So
to cuss
what-
everyone, yeah?
What I
Our
do
prophet and
yeah,
everyone,
is
yeah?
I
He used to
I
duck
normally
Tan.
criticize
That
a
means you
particular
indirectly
part of
disrespect
Islam, which is the
us.
Sharia.
You get me?
The penal codes of the Sharia. And I'm against all death penalties. So if I was in America, I would be protesting against the death penalty of the Americans. It just happens to be we're in the UK, we're in
You
Speaker's
talk about
Corner.
it on your live stream, Raj.
Do you understand? It's not like I'm going.
I do understand, but the problem is we don't hear this from you.
Oh no,
all
maybe
we hear is Islam.
Yeah,
Islam,
so
Islam.
maybe I need to be more open and more clear about my viewpoints because I used to be a vegan. So why am I going to accept halal meat? All slaughter is wrong to me. I think it's evil, including slaughterhouses,
what's wrong
farms,
with
and
lamb
everything.
chops?
You
So-
talk
so-
about halal
but-
meat. Why don't you
but-
talk about kosher meat then? Talk about kosher meat then.
It's too low IQ. Can we deal with this?
Talk about kosher meat then.
Can we deal with this low IQ?
Low
It's
IQ.
going through this floor now.
I love my
So
lamb chops.
basically, when I criticise, this is the problem. If I said, all right,
The only
animal
good animal
cruelty is
is a
wrong,
dead animal. I
yeah,
love
and I
lamb
believe
chops.
all slaughterhouses are wrong, including halal, kosher, and slaughterhouses. I think people will still get pissed off that I've lumped halal in there. I think they'll still pick on me for saying, oh, why did you say halal? But I'm against the whole thing, the
So
whole
why do you
system.
go to McDonald's?
The whole system.
Why do you go to
Yeah?
McDonald's
And
then?
when it comes to circumcision, I've always been against that. And I used to have Muslim friends. I didn't even know about Islam at the time. I didn't know about Islam until I was probably like 21. And I was
Why
against
are you obsessed
circumcision
with people's penises?
because of morally, I thought it was
Yo,
wrong when I
did
found
you hear
out
him?
about it.
He's
Yeah?
against.
So when I say snip,
circumcised
snip,
you know.
I'm just criticising the practice. Americans do it as well.
Raj,
En masse.
for the camera again,
I
please
think
tell us why you're against
80
circumcision.
million American men have been circumcised for no reason. And so I'm against the process. I do it in a jokey way.
Why
And
you
so
against circumcision?
a lot of these things that you hear
Even
that I'm
non-Muslims
against.
get circumcision,
So
Raj.
this just proves
Yeah.
the point.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm against
Vikings.
circumcision,
Tell
not
us
against
why, tell us
Muslim
why.
circumcision.
Tell us why you're
So when I'm
against
saying snip,
circumcision.
snip, I'm talking about the whole thing. I think is barbaric.
Tell
and
us
it
why.
should be made illegal. If I had my way, if I'm being honest with you, if you're a young baby, if you're like older and you want to do it, cool, do it. But that's a different topic.
Simon's
So
cut his
I
dick
agree.
off.
I agree that
That's
What do you
barbaric.
think about
I
that?
agree.
That's barbaric,
I agree.
exactly.
I
You have to
agree
be
that
against Simon.
the
He
way
cut his
I
dick
need to
off.
move forward
Fucking
is to be
Yes,
able to communicate
that's
myself
barbaric.
better and give a more rounded approach as
See,
to my
see the
views.
hypocrisy there.
At the moment,
That's
it
what you
looks
call
like I'm
fair.
just
It's not fair.
attacking one group.
That's what you call a
But
modern
in
day high
reality, I'm
IQ.
attacking a whole
It looks for me
holistic.
like you pick certain things at the time that are connected to Islam, and you sort of ride the wave, and then you pick another one, and then you pick another one, and in a month's time there'll be another one. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, it
But look, you've said.
Yeah, it may seem like that, but you have to remember when we go Speaker's Corner, the majority of the people here are Muslim, and so a lot of conversations tend to be around Islam, and I might hear something, and I'm like, oh, what's that?
Another
And then
fallacy.
I look
But you
into
turned
it.
up here on an anti-Islamic sentiment.
Yeah,
so
no,
you're happy there's lots of Muslims.
I turned up on it, if I'm being honest with you, because I saw certain things happening with Sarah and them, like, and I wanted to see if it was true. And I have to admit, when I first came in, I had a lot of misconceptions about Islam. I'll admit to you, because I was hearing certain things. I understand that there's certain things that I'm never going to agree with.
You
but,
came here
but do I want people?
to
But do
attack
I
Islam.
want you?
We know that.
Do I want you to not practice your faith? No. You should be able to practice your faith, and you should be able to go to the mosque, do what we do, fast. I don't care. What I do care about is if your faith is interfering with social cohesion, and people are starting to go into different directions, and the UK is to a certain degree. You feel like I think
You're
the
still
Muslim,
holding that social cohesion argument.
I think
You're going to bring the stuff.
Yeah, where's
no,
the
but
evidence, Raj?
I'll
Where's the
bring it
evidence?
back. But the thing is,
This guy never learns.
Look, for me, when I don't know whether you, I mean, you seem like an intelligent guy.
Never
I
learns.
know standing next to him, I feel intelligent. I feel like a genius standing next to Gabe.
I'll be honest
And
with
I don't care. And I don't care.
But what I'm
I
saying
don't
is that
care.
when
He
I
still
look,
looks like a fool.
When I
He
look,
still looks
when
like a
I
fool.
look at
You
the
get me?
future, I don't look at 50 years. I look at like 100.
Yes, Raj, you are high IQ. Yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
looking at what would the
why
UK
do you
be
say
like
stupid things,
when
Raj?
things
High IQ.
continue in this process where the community.
Don't he look like
communities
an
are
angry bird?
diverging, yeah.
Angry
What will
bird.
happen in 150 years? I mean, you can see what might happen if things
Yeah, and if you're
continue.
consistent across the board, that anyone that does it, whether it's Jews,
Ballet, ballet.
but there seems to be a focus on NIKAB. But anyway, look, I've never spoken to you like this, and I'll be honest, I'm not to make it up, but normally I see you with a flute going around. I see you with shirtless toy, little toys.
Clown.
So you know,
Clown.
all right. So the thing is, yeah, look,
Speakers go like that, you know.
what you need to understand, yeah, humor is a powerful tool.
And you are a
Would you
clown.
watch me if I
Oh, pay
was
that
you?
free again.
Why do
Don't
people
worry, pay
watch
that
me?
free again.
me, I would
I
personally
don't know,
rather
but-
see
but-
this.
No, but one second. But let me say
It
something.
depends
Let
what
me-
you-
hold
what
on,
audience you want.
hold on, look,
Audience
look,
you
I've realised a long
He
time
gets
ago.
his audience
I
all
realised a long
subtards,
time
like
to keep an audience, you have to have something else. You can't just be talking.
Look, I give you you're a funny guy. You
So
are a
what
funny
I'm saying
guy,
is,
I
I
get
say
that.
the same things I'm saying to you
Clowns
here,
are funny.
but in a jokey way. And some people will like it, and some people don't. But one thing's for sure, I have a consistent people watching. And when I say stuff, it gets into people's heads. This guy was saying Zakum when I was getting chucked at the park. And other people were saying, we ain't paying that bullshit, Jizzy, you're mad. And that's my catchphrase. Muslims
Yeah,
are
that's
saying it.
if you
Think
don't change
about
your
this.
ways, you're gonna eat Zakum
Think
in
about
hellfire.
this, yeah?
You're gonna eat
Muslims are
Zakum
saying
in
to
hellfire
me,
like this.
when I was getting escorted apart,
Zakum,
you
you're
were
gonna
saying,
eat that.
here's Zakum,
You're
and then
gonna
they were
eat that.
saying,
You're gonna
I
eat that
ain't that
in
bullshit,
hellfire.
Jizzy, you're mad. Muslims.
You're
So
gonna
that
eat that
shows
in
the
hellfire.
power of humour.
Zakum.
Yeah, and this is what I'm trying to say to people. I can be deadly serious when I want to be, but if I feel I have to use humour to get a point across, that is another tool in my arsenal that I can use. But like I
Say
said,
arse.
right now I can talk very serious with you.
Hey, Raj, why did you
can
go
I
to
just
the
say that?
X
Can
Factor
we
the
get you
other
onto
day?
Manny's show, by any chance?
Did you see
Say
the X
arse.
Factor video?
Let me
Say
tell
arse.
let me tell you about Manny.
I don't know,
My,
man.
my issue with Manny is similar to Ralph. So,
Yeah.
so Manny Cinder to me he is an Islamophobe.
All right.
And I don't know.
Yeah,
him.
Manny's
You
a
got-
weird
you got-
Manny
you can
Cinder.
tell me different. And I'm not insulting the guy,
Yeah.
but obviously.
Man, he's in
I don't
that
think he
in
is,
the
though.
house,
No,
man.
but having Anne-Marie Waters on the show again, you're
Oh
giving
my God.
giving a platform. If Manny Cinder had an equal amount of other people, if there was somebody against Christianity, someone who wanted against black people, Manny Cinder specifically had a UKIP person that you knew, everyone knew. And to be fair, I heard you stood against her. You were the only one on the panel, is my understanding.
Yeah.
But Manny Cinder, to me, again, that show is completely. Why would he want Manny
We-
Cinder?
we
You know
had a
Manny
Muslim,
Cinder,
no,
you know
we
Manny
had a-
Cinder,
I'm
you
not
know
saying
Manny
he wants you, I can
Cinder,
ask, I think
Raj
it'd be
and
good
Ralph,
to jump on.
they're all
He's
token
not told me.
Indians.
So we had on Friday we had a show for Muslims. We had Reactionary on there. We had other Muslims on there, Ghost Speakers Corner, and all of these kind of people that are Muslims that came onto it. And the thing is, look, when it comes to the Anne Marie's thing, I agree we went in soft. It was too soft. In fact, I even said beforehand, I've got a question I want to ask about some undercover footage of her saying stuff that I found distasteful.
But
about,
can you see from me, where's all the other people?
Yeah, I know,
Why
no,
have you only got? Why have you only got someone who wants to get rid of Islam?
Yeah. So we do want to broaden the page open, the channel to more people. But the decision, I think I'm not saying this is a decision that he made, but what I can see is that we kind of went soft a little bit because we don't want to scare off future guests. Now, if we went in straight like Paxman, straight like Paxman, do you think we could get other guests on? They would watch it, go, all right.
To be honest, I didn't watch the show, so I'm fairly going on what other people have told me because I wouldn't support her.
Not him, I
anyway.
I'm blocked from your fucking team.
He's still.
No, I've heard some
He's
people
still
about.
with CCB babies. Teletubbies. So I don't think you should be asking.
This guy, bro, it's jokes, man.
I
I'm telling
know
you.
about Amory Waters anyway, because believe it or not, I used to support UKIP before I became Muslim. So to me, UKIP was a party that wanted to get rid of, wanted to get Britain out of the European Union. It's done now. Now it's just turned into a
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. I haven't really
like
got.
I said, I voted.
I haven't really got a party that I can support. I can't support Labour because I used to be a Labour Party member. What you might be surprised is I used to canvass and go around people's houses. I know you probably think, oh, he's too much. Trust me, I can be very serious when I want to.
The thing of the 10-incher.
But the thing was that the thing is with the parties now, they've gone too far to the left. They're more basically.
Raj, the thing of the 10-incher.
What I want, and this is my crust.
He likes uncircumcised dick.
Is that I want. If you're British, Pakistani Muslim, cool.
He takes
If you're
people's
British,
skin,
Somalian Muslim, cool.
keeps it in a jar.
If you're British,
He has Simon
Punjabi
shit in his
Sikh,
jar.
Cool. But you must have the British component in there in order for us to live together. Now we have a situation where you have. Weirdly, when I grew up, my generation of Muslims that I knew, 90% of people that I knew when I was young were Muslim, were integrated. They will say they'll do this, they'll do that. What's happening is for the next generation, this generation, for some reason, maybe it's the British public's fault as well. If you're kind of alienating them and saying, well, you can't be British, then they're not going to be British, are they? The British public also needs to take responsibility and say, look, if you're telling a man you're not British, you're not British, you're not British, they don't feel welcome, they're going to start hating you. So what I want to do is embrace all three components. If you want to be Muslim, and you want to be British, and you want to be what, that's cool with me, man. Yeah, and that's the type of message that people are not listening to what I'm saying. Yeah, because all they're hearing is the kind of like anti-Islam.
His new name on the
But
title,
my
make sure you
views,
write
even
Homo
I agree with
Raj.
death penalty.
Homo Raj.
Look,
On the title.
you agree with the death
Okay.
penalty, but until you get into power, and it's still your beliefs. You understand? I can still challenge your beliefs. So I don't really care if you believe in the death penalty. It only becomes a problem if you suddenly are in
Homo
power.
Raj.
If you're in power, and then you can. All right. So before we go, this is how much dick you can take. 12 inches straight with no gag reflex. 12 inches straight with no gag reflex.
Homo Raj. Homo Raj.
All right. So let's. All right. So.
What's going on, man?
All right. So let's leave it.
Medina was so good.
All right.
man.
You're
Jonathan, you're gonna lose the IQ.
There's no
You're gonna
more
lose the
flukes in
IQ
Medina.
with
So
this guy.
yeah, I think this is a
Jonathan's
conversation
losing
that
IQ.
we can continue.
You get me?
And it is interesting, to talk to somebody who's because I'm assuming you're British indigenous in terms of your kind of heritage and stuff. So you do have a voice that other people don't. You probably, obviously, you're going to be interacting with people with your own communities or the wider community. So you must have an understanding that some people are finding it a bit uncomfortable, that they feel like, their kind of way of life is kind of being taken away from. I'm not saying it's
my
rational.
family, yeah.
I'm not saying it's rational. I'm just saying, if even irrational fears, it doesn't mean that
The
they don't
sing
still
of the
don't feel
10-incher.
So you can say you're
Talking about immigration.
because I voted Brexit as well. And one of the things is people think one of the problems I had with Ralph again, sorry Ralph, is that he wants to base the immigration on white people only, white Christians. And I say I want to control immigration, but I don't care if you're Muslim, I don't care if you're black, I don't care whatever. It's about merit.
I think a lot of people make the misconception that Brexit means reducing immigration.
Yeah.
Like you say, it's controlling. If
It's
we
controlling.
want more in, we can get more in. If we want less in, we have less in.
So,
And,
I'm not. The UK and most countries need immigration, in order for the economy to survive and to grow. And that's not a problem. It's about who comes in and can they contribute to the UK and will they be a productive citizen. I'm going to be honest with you. If I was an immigrant now, I wouldn't make it under my policy.
Well, I think that's my problem because I used to believe in the Australian point system.
Yeah, so I wouldn't make it.
So yeah, but the thing is, when you look at this country how it's built, there are a lot of people that would have failed. They've actually made this country. A lot of people that came over with nothing.
Yeah.
And actually, so I don't know where I stand on it anymore.
So I'm trying to be reasonable, and when I looked at the point system I would have wanted to have, I wouldn't have got in. Yeah, as of today, but as of 5-6 years ago, I would have. I've made a choice to be a freelance artist, so it's not the most
Would you
productive thing.
contribute to British society?
What do I contribute? I go around saying, I ain't paying that bullshit, Jizzy, you're mad. That's my contribution.
You understand?
Yeah. So it's a big contribution. I think
I ask you a serious question,
alright,
you fucking homo cunt. Talk to answering properly.
Raj, I don't want to be on camera.
No, I'm filming this guy, the guy that's got IQ.
Homo Raj! Homo Raj! Homo Raj!
The IQ, the level of a cockroach. Have you heard of a reactionary? Reactionary sounds like freaking Einstein when he chats to this man. His whole solution.
I'm learning from this guy.
No,
You don't know.
Dude, you know what?
Download.
Let me say something.
Raj said a joke! Raj said a
Let me say
joke!
something. When it comes to this guy, he's talking to a child. Sometimes they say some
Raj said a
stuff that
joke.
you'd never think of. Because I think he's so simplistically. You know when someone's very dumb?
I think you know this man. More intelligent
They
than
will
he comes
ask.
across.
Trust me, he's not. His whole solution.
Let's trust you.
Everything. If a meteorite was coming, he'd say go to the mosque and pray. That's his solution to everything. Everything's go to the mosque and pray. That's not a solution for everything, man. Heart surgery, go to the mosque
Do
and
you have
pray.
the answers, Raj? Then?
I don't have the answer either, but I know it's not
kill
going to
you.
the
What are
mosque
you
and
gonna
pray.
do?
I got one other thing to discuss because there's been discussion about me possibly going to a Brexit. So I'm a Brexiteer.
Oh, big up.
I'm a Brexiteer, and
No, I need to wash that hand now. You wash that.
That's good. Actually, that's very good.
The thing is, I caught the tail end of the last Brexit march, which was purely anti-Islamic.
Yeah. It gets stupid.
So do you agree Brexit isn't an anti-Islamic?
No.
vote? So you got Muppets like Tommy, James Goddard, Bacon Lady.
All right, so
you got them. Am I supposed to go march with them?
No. All right, so the thing is, Big Ards has voted Brexit as well. You voted Brexit. This is not about a Muslim issue. You people are making it into a Muslim issue or a race issue. It is about.
All Muslims should stay away from voting.
It's not about Islam. It's about being sensible and controlling the borders. For me, I didn't vote for Brexit because of immigration. I voted because of sovereignty. So I feel that the UK needs to control its parliament and should be able to control its laws and its regulations. So this is the situation with the Brexit situation. It's been hijacked by groups that are using it as a racial term or against Islam.
For me, no one talks about what the EU actually is, because when for me the Brexit vote was, do you want to leave the EU? Not many people actually know what the EU is.
So can you hold this one?
Don't do it.
Sorry, man.
Old man.
Don't. It's cold, Raj.
People don't know that the EU is corrupt. People don't know that the EU haven't signed their accounts for the last 15 years. They don't know the direction they're going. So I actually looked into the EU, and that was my decision. I didn't care about immigration so much. That was at the bottom of the agenda. Sovereignty. I mean, I think we should have sovereignty. But yeah, my issues with the EU directly.
Yeah, and they're wasting a lot of money. So this is the problem. People are now, I've heard people say, I went to Tommy Robinson's event where it was the Brexit march, and when I walked into the left side, because I actually went into the Antifa side, they were equating voting for Brexit for being racist, and I had to challenge them.
Which one, the far left?
And so the far left are problematic as well, because when they're equating you to be a racist, and there's people like myself who voted it, and people can say I'm racist, but there's other people that I know that have voted for Brexit that are 100% not racist.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's no racist vote in their
It's damaging to have racist at the Brexit march, isn't it? Because people look at it and go, "Oh, look, these people are." This is the Brexit.
It is problematic. This is why I have, I have to admit, I do know some of the people that are high up in the organisations of these things. Some of the people that organise them, personally, I know them, and I have said to them that these marches when you're going down, and people are saying F this, religion. I said it shouldn't be about Muhammad. It shouldn't be about Allah. It shouldn't be about. It should just be about the topic. But for some reason, you have these people that infiltrate, and then when they start chanting, for some reason it just goes. And I think it is totally crass. And I've said it to them in private, and not even on the thingy that it's uncomfortable. Hearing that kind of stuff, because especially when it's got nothing to do with that particular topic. If you're talking about Brexit, just keep it to Brexit. If it's about Tommy Robinson, keep it to Tommy Robinson.
What are you saying, Liban?
So
can I ask you a question? Nobody, I don't think the issue is the fact that whether Brexit is has anything to do with racism. I just feel like certain elements of society have hijacked the narrative
that's
of
what-
Brexit, innit?
It's
To
always
the
gonna
point
happen.
where now, if you're seen as voting to leave, as if you're associated simultaneously with racism. That's not the case. I believe that people like Tommy Robinson and that type of element, Katie Hopkins, all these people are very anti-Islamic, very anti-immigration, and if you associate yourselves with these people, now you may be going purely for the Brexit reasons, but you're going to a march that's organised with someone who is outrightly racist towards Muslims and immigration as a whole, right? So your intentions might be good going to these marches, but do you not understand how you can easily fall into their trap? And then when people start looking at you and thinking, you know, does Raj have anti-Islamic sentiments? Do you understand what I'm trying to say? To you? So look, like Jordan, someone like Brother Jordan, who is Muslim, who's an indigenous person in this country, who voted Brexit. Does that make him racist, or does that even make him anti-Islamic? No, it's not. I could have voted leave.
Yeah.
Wouldn't make me a racist or
I agree with you. Some of these
anti-immigration.
parties have been kind of hijacked by certain individuals that are using, they're very simplistic, this is Islamic problem. When it's not to do with Islam when it comes to Brexit, and even when people are worrying about immigration, it shouldn't be equated to Islam. It should just be equated to common sense about how many people can you let in and how many people are going to kind of be productive for the UK. And if you're Muslims and you can come in and you can, I have no issue with that. So this is where I disagree with a lot of the rhetoric of some of these people. But it doesn't mean I'm going to chuck them under the bus and say I'm not going to speak to them or I'm not going to have conversations. I believe talking to people, even if you differ with their views, is the best route. Because if you just start ignoring, I'm going to say to everybody, you ignore them, they're just going to grow. They're going to be there anyway.
So long as you're consistent, because if you're only talking to anti-Islamic people and you're only associated with those, and you're going to be associated with it, aren't you? You're guilty.
All right,
by
so when I
association.
come here, I'm speaking to Muslims all day. Now, if I don't come to Speaker's Corner, I will speak to non-Muslims. So my whole point of Speaker's Corner for me is to also get a rounded viewpoint.
Have you ever spoken to a Jew about circumcision?
Yeah, I've spoken to Nossan and them lot, so I've said I disagree with the circumcision and
Or
stuff.
about the exclusive Jewish environments in London.
Yeah, and
You
I
go to
disagree
places
with
like
that as
Stamford
well.
Hill,
I disagree with
when you go
that.
to places like Stamford Hill where they have their own schools, their own hospitals, their own police force,
Yeah,
that
it's
police
crazy.
their areas. The Haredi Jewish community in certain parts of London,
Mary Poppins.
where it's very ultra orthodox.
Yeah, and I disagree with that as well.
To the point where their women
I
are
have
in a way
to
almost
be honest,
oppressed.
I watched a documentary that about American Hasidic Jews, and I was shocked at how separate they are from the rest of society, more than any other community.
I don't have an issue with it. It doesn't affect me. I don't have an issue with it.
Yeah, but if you,
So long as they're following the laws. Everyone
yeah, but
else is.
the problem we have
You
is
don't have
that-
to. You don't have to.
yeah, but the problem is this. Now, if we don't communicate with each other, and we then start having groups within a group, what happens? People will not see each other as humans. They will start dehumanizing these people. It's just normal human behavior. And this is what I worry about, that, if we're having a situation where people are saying, Raj, don't talk to that person, he's a racist.
Because they cover their face, they're not integrated. Is that what you're
No,
saying?
I'm saying that it's just...
There's no cohesion because you can't see their face.
What I'm saying that it's another little problem that could be resolved. I'm not saying it should be banned, I'm saying it should be at least talked about. Yeah, there's a difference. I should have phrased it better, and that's something that I need to learn, is not to go in gung-ho and say, you should ban something, because already I'm going to get your back up.
And what do you think my point about the timing of it?
I don't remember, what was the timing of it though?
So for me, what I said to you was, Islam at the moment is witch hunted in the media.
Yeah.
Anti-Islamic. So by talking about things like the NIKAB and actually pointing out the Niqabi sisters are something wrong, the timing of it now and talking about it now puts you almost in a far right category.
Yeah, the thing is,
you're adding to.
I'll
the
be
hate.
honest
The
with
sisters
you.
don't need it. And
I'll be honest with you. I don't think there's ever a right time. Whether I've done it now, whether I've done it last week, whether I've done it in a month, whether I've done it in a year.
I would say you're better off criticising Judaism now than you did when Hitler was around, for instance.
Yeah, but
There are times. There are bad times.
Yeah, I know that. I mean, but I still think here. One of the things is that we should be able to talk about these things.
Yeah, but there's
And the thing is, we should be able to talk about it in a sensible manner. Now, do I agree with you that I did not? Do I agree with you that I did not do it in the best manner? I agree. I should not have gone in there gung ho saying, because that is inflammatory in a sense.
So you would disagree with a ban of the burqa in this country?
No, what I'm saying to you is, I think it should be looked into. Yeah.
Now,
agree with
now,
that?
now,
whether it should
even
be
though
banned.
they're not affecting anything, it should be looked into now.
Yeah, I think it's something.
But then you're adding hate.
What
You're
I'm-
adding
what I'm
hate to a
saying-
group of people that
what-
are doing nothing
What
wrong.
I'm saying is
you are
what-
personally
what I'm
responsible.
saying. What I'm saying is something that should be discussed. Now, whether it gets banned or not is not up to me.
Raj, can I ask you a
But I
question?
think just ignoring the matter and just saying that no
But
one's
look,
going to
okay,
talk about
let's
it.
talk about the burqa.
Yeah.
We know that in Europe
Raj,
now
why are you bothered with
it's
the
being
Muslims,
banned in
Christ?
countries around Europe.
Yeah.
And Islamic far right groups are growing in Europe.
Yeah.
So by even suggesting for it to be banned now at this time is dangerous.
I'm saying discuss it. Remember, I don't have no
I don't have an
legal
issue
power.
discussing it. I don't
No,
have an issue with discussing
I think people need to really realise that. No,
no,
offense to
I
you.
agree.
No, it's that I'm not Prime Minister. I don't have no legal powers. When I say something, it's
But
not
when I
going to
just
come to
asked you, would you
fruition.
disagree with the ban, and you didn't answer me.
No, I've said I would agree if they put into a law a ban to ban the
Listen, I
burqa.
just
I would say
found
yes.
out about
I would
a
agree
new
with it.
information, yeah, in
I
Sikh
wouldn't,
religion.
I wouldn't fight it.
Yeah, for
I
them
would
to cut
agree
their
with
pubic
it.
hair.
But does that mean that it's ever going to come to fruition? That's
what I just
that we
found
shouldn't
out.
discuss
Say
it.
that again.
So how is
Because the thing
this
is,
man
these topics
integrated?
are going to be talked
How is
about
this man
anyway.
integrated?
At least try and
He
talk
doesn't
about
cut
it
his
in
pubic
a
hair, blood.
reasonable fashion.
It's a
Do you
jungle,
understand?
And like I
blood.
said, so long as you're consistent and talking about other things as
Hey,
well.
Raj,
'cause
do you cut your pubic hair?
Otherwise, you are guilty of only.
Gay dunya.
Otherwise,
Gay dunya in action.
otherwise.
Homo
No,
Raj!
but let's not get sidetracked. No, I'm not being distracted.
If you're not
Yo,
consistent, in
it's
your
against
approach,
your religion, ain't it?
Great,
To
cut pubic hair.
Great,
What the
1 second.
fuck?
He wants to know about my lulla.
Great,
You try to do that again, do that
My
again.
lulla.
Can you find
He wants to know if it's got pubic hair.
Do that again.
Is it because when you suck it, you don't want no hairs in your mouth? Is it because when you suck it, you don't want no hairs in your mouth?
Raj, I want to ask you a
The
question.
thing of the
Can I say
12-incher.
one thing. If you're not consistent in your approach, if you're not also saying
guy
about,
sucks Tommy
you know,
Robinson
about other people that
inside the
if
pub.
you're not discussing other issues and other religions, then you're guilty of just pointing out Islam.
But can I ask you something? You know, over the last month, this is one of the first conversations I've had about Islam.
Yeah, I agree.
Most of my issues now have been about depression. I had the other week. The other week was about thinking. So if you look at any of my videos, it hasn't been about Islam. I've kind of stepped back. So the thing is, the one it's only when people come up to me and they start talking about it that I might talk about it. But I don't think people should be fearful of talking about topics like this, because I personally believe that if we get to the stage where we're saying, all right, don't talk about it because it might X, Y, and Z, people are still going to be talking behind closed doors.
How would you like
And
it
they
if they
will,
were going to ban
then have
turbans?
an echo chamber of people agreeing with them and no way to
Hey,
refute
your
their
mosque,
ideas, and their
your mosque.
ideas will become hardened.
Man said, yeah.
So
he's against
talking about it openly
circumcision.
is the same. This is where the same thing
The
with Ralph.
question you need to
That
ask
when
him,
you
why
get
is he
Ralph
against-
talking about stuff like this, it's
What's
made
his
me
interest
think.
in dicks?
Like if Ralph, like I never really
Homo
thought about it,
Raj,
but
innit?
Ralph said, "Oh, I want to deport Muslims," and I thought to myself, "No, I'm never going to let that happen."
Did Ralph say this?
So yeah, something like that. He's going to deport. So I was like, in my head, I was like, if I had to think about myself, would I allow something like that to happen? No, I'd fight tooth and nail to not to let it happen. So it's good to hear that sometimes, because it also questions your own moral standpoint. What would you do if somebody starts propagating this in a wider sense?
Yeah. So do you get my point? My point to you originally was: can you see how you have to be careful in this climate where there are people like
Oh, yeah,
Ralph
you
and
have
all
to-
that?
yeah, of course,
you have
of
to be
course.
careful
And
and consistent in your approach.
All right, so-
that's my only point to you. And
Yeah, I mean-
from the sounds of it, you understand that already, and you've been making
Well,
changes as we talk.
yeah,
And-
so-
and
So I have, I mean, it's hard for people to see it because they're still kind of like, you know, like this low IQ. They can't understand the comprehension when people start adjusting their behaviour because they're savages.
Low
So
IQ,
that's what
low
they do.
IQ,
So
low
the thing is,
IQ,
he
low
can't change
IQ.
his behaviour. He can't change
Low
his behaviour, yeah? So he's like a baby.
How will it feel if they were going to ban the
He's
turbans?
like a baby. He doesn't.
Low IQ.
He doesn't know. He knows there's
Low
difference.
IQ.
So
Low
when I'm
IQ.
adjusting my behaviour, the guys that are more
Tan is his
intelligent
guru. Tan is his
can
guru.
start to see that
Low IQ.
I have
They were gonna
adjusted
ban
my
turbans.
behaviour, and one of the things that all
How
I
did you adjust your
all I can
behaviour?
do here
How
is to
did you
try and
adjust
call
your
out
behaviour?
people that are calling
Tell
for
us,
things that I
explain it to
thought
us.
is
Enlighten us.
irreprehensible, yeah. That
Go on,
to
mate.
call for people to be deported, for people to not to practice their faith. Because I believe in God, remember.
No, you don't.
I'd rather you be a Muslim than an atheist.
You believe in Tommy Robinson, Guru
So,
Snobby.
sorry to the atheists, but
That's
I'm
who
an
you
atheist.
believe, Guru
I
Robinson.
don't believe, and I also
You
believe
believe
in
in a
traditional
man.
values. I don't drink. I haven't drank for 6 years, and so I'm a teetotal.
Yo,
There's a lot-
this is
there's a lot of
another
things
question
that
I want to
agree
ask
with
him.
Islam in terms
Why
of
are you
how to
teaching
have a
big ups to
cohesive
how to
society.
drink?
And the West, let me just say something about the white people. You need to take responsibility for themselves
You
as
need to
well.
ask him a question,
because
bruv.
the Muslims are
This
not taking
guy
over.
is teaching
White
Muslims
people are
to
just not having
drink, bruv.
babies. or they're killing babies. So abortion is another thing I'm totally against.
The light is
I
right,
think
son,
I would say abortion is murder.
Can't look.
So the white
about
community is
if they were
aborting
against your
130,000 babies a year, but they're complaining that Muslims are having babies.
Why is no one asking this question?
Yeah, do you understand? There's a
I don't think the debate here is whether the decline
No, but what I'm trying
of white nation.
what I'm trying to say to you is that one of the
Hey, Raj,
narratives.
I heard you're
of people
spiking
like
regards
Ralph-
drinks.
One of the narratives of Ralph and people from the right is that the Muslims are taking over. And what I'm trying to say is that the reason why the Muslim
Hey, ask
population is
him, how
growing
about if they were
is
gonna
because
ban turbans?
they're
What would
not
you
doing
do?
what the West is
Ask him
doing,
that.
which is they are aborting babies at
Ask him,
130 to
don't let him run away.
150,000 babies a year. They're not getting married. They're not having children or having a traditional family.
Then how are you integrating?
So the
How are you
decline
integrating
decline of the West will actually be its own downfall.
Because you're not
It will be
integrating.
its own downfall. It won't be
That's because you are not integrating.
The Muslims or
So Muslims out there are integrated, you get me?
The Muslims have a strong
The
traditional
Muslims are
structure
integrated better.
that will then overtake that at some point. Do you understand? But that doesn't mean they're doing it on purpose.
These man, they
Do you
kill their own
understand the difference?
babies.
I do.
So when
How are they
Ralph,
integrating?
Ralph and so certain, I'm not saying Ralph, but certain individuals try and make it out as if, oh, this is a plot. I don't believe it's a plot. I believe that the West has declined in its moral values, and because of this lack of traditional values
Well,
and
white
the family
people are
structure-
converting to Islam because of that. So
Yeah, I mean,
That
so-
means Muslims
so-
are the way forward. That means Muslims are the way
so
forward.
the thing is that when it comes to stuff like this, I am not in the same mindset as them. I don't think so simplistically like, oh, you're this particular group's
Why
trying to
are you
take
wearing
over this.
angles?
So
But Muslims are 5% of the of the nation, aren't they?
Yeah, but if you-
5%. So
but-
this is kind of an argument that's
No, hold on,
really
hold on,
like
hold on.
we need to have more babies
but
to
hold on,
get to 7%,
hold on,
to get to 7%.
hold on,
and, you know,
Yes,
maybe
brother,
in a thousand years' time.
brother,
we might-
brother,
hold on.
brother,
They're
brother.
losing the
So
old
the demographics
family,
here,
bruv.
the
Ask
demographics-
him,
the
what if they were
demographics-
going to ban turbans,
the
and how come
demographics here-
they allow Sikhs
the
to
demographics
carry their
of
dagger
the UK,
when it's
the
when it's a
birth
weapon?
rate- the birth
Ask
rate
him that.
is
What's your problem with the hijab?
1.6%,
Bruv,
yeah,
this guy.
of babies, yeah, for the white population, yeah. That is below
This brother is too
sustaining
nice,
its
bruv.
own
He's listening
population.
to bullshit.
Now, do you
So
know
the
what it
white
is, though?
population will
Nah.
slowly, like Japan, is
think they
declining,
covered
and
it.
it's the elderly rate
covered
here
it.
is outweighing now the younger rate at some point. So they're having a massive problems with birth rates. So at some point, the birth rate for the white indigenous population, for their own fault.
Are you
Remember, I'm
telling me
saying
I was checking
this
for
is
his
not a
family?
calculated measure by any group. They are aborting babies, which I believe is murder. Sorry if people get offended by that. And they're also not getting married and
We're
also
gonna
not
push
having
forward
children,
for the
in
daggers
the
to
numbers
be
that you
banned
need
and
to.
for the turban to
But
be banned.
you have another group of people that have retained their traditional values, which is good. Marrying at a young age, having kids, you know, not aborting babies and stuff like that. And over a period of time, whether you like it or not, and this is not a scare tactic, that population will grow.
You lot.
And the other one will just stay stagnant.
You lot, 4 minutes. I'm gonna cut this.
Do you understand? I'm going to finish it anyway.
Yeah,
so,
we can
so
end
do you
that.
understand the difference to the way I'm
Ask
saying
about
it?
the turban,
I'm not
I
trying to
do.
blame the community. I'm trying to say, be reasonable and look at your own faults as well. The West
no.
is destroying itself for its own immorality and its kind of loss of traditional values of Christianity. Yeah, so you know they need to start looking at it in a more kind of holistic
How would you
viewpoint.
feel about the turban? Answer that, please.
Big up to the turban. So let's,
no,
let's
but
see
if
it.
they were gonna
Let's
ban
see
it,
it.
how
Let's
would
see
you
it.
feel?
If we finish on your point, so if obviously we said Islam's being if Sikhs were being witch hunted in media and stuff like that, would you advise against people trying to ban the turban and things like that? Because that would happen,
I
that would
personally
happen.
believe that people should have a discussion about it at least.
Do you? So do you
Yeah.
think I should have a discussion about your turban?
I don't think there's any issue with having a discussion about certain issues like the turban. Do I want it banned? No. But do I feel that it's a problem for you to discuss it? No. I think discussing it, I could show you why I don't feel it's a problem, and I could show it with facts and figures maybe in the next time. Because the Sikhs are one of the most integrated communities wherever they go. Wherever Sikhs go, I'm not trying to just big us up.
Can you bring me something that shows that NIKAB sisters are causing problems?
I mean, this is going to be something that's going to be
Anything,
more
more
anecdotal.
crime or more-
Hold on, this could be more anecdotal about
I'd
my
be interested
own
to see it, 'cause
perceptions. Because I have actually, people don't know, I've actually spoken to Nikabi sister for an hour once. And I know people can say, why did she actually come up to me? I was doing an exhibition and she spoke. And I had an interaction, and I've also interacted in banks and I've seen how it was a problem where people were covering. Now the bare minimum I would ask for is that if you go to a bank that you show, or a place of security that you show a member of staff your face.
There is. They show
That's
to
the bare
female-
minimum.
To females. on
So
airports,
bare
everything.
minimum, yeah. That's the bare minimum I would ask for. So if that can be implemented, that would be something that I would say, all right, that's something that you can kind of.
And this is just your opinion, isn't it? And this isn't
course, my
affecting
opinion.
you. This isn't affecting
All right,
you.
so let me give you an example.
But
When
do you
I-
agree with that? It's not affecting you, it's just your opinion.
All right, so when I went to the
You
bank,
want
this is
views on
anecdotal
YouTube.
because it's
Why
my
are you
personal
bothered about
opinion.
this, Raj?
I went to the bank.
That
and
is the
there-
question, that is
there-
the
I went to the bank. There was 2 Nikabi ladies in the bank, yeah, and they were standing behind me. Whether you like it or not, you're not gonna like it. I felt uncomfortable that I did not know who those people were.
Well, why
Now,
did you need to
I'm
know?
not saying,
why you need to
I'm
know?
not
I would
saying,
say who cares?
I'm not
Exactly,
saying,
who cares?
I'm not
They're
saying,
strangers.
I'm not saying that they should take the veil off there and then, but I'm saying at least somebody in the bank should have seen their face to identify who
If
they
I
are.
said to you, I went to the bank and there were 2 Sikh guys behind me and I felt uncomfortable, you'd say to me, just get over it, wouldn't you?
No, but the thing is, the reason.
And who cares if
Yeah,
I
yeah,
am
but the
uncomfortable?
but the reason.
And if I'm
the
uncomfortable,
reason,
I have issues,
I don't
don't
know.
Sikh guys
Would you
got
agree I
lies.
have issues?
So, all right,
I have issues.
So the reason I felt uncomfortable, which
So
I
they're
think,
your issues,
hold on,
not the Nikabi sisters, they're
the
your
reason
issues.
I felt uncomfortable is because I am giving sensitive information to somebody at the counter, and if someone behind me, I cannot easily identify them. I feel that is problematic in a place where there's high security
Why?
risks. Because that's just, maybe I'm got my
That is
own
such a
fears,
stupid
but I feel that in a bank,
Okay.
at the bare minimum, they should be
We'll
able
stop now, we'll stop
they,
now.
they should be able to show their faces to a member of staff, a female member of staff, and so that we know who is in the bank. I don't think that's unreasonable. All right, sorry about all the heckling from the low IQ savages and stuff, man. But what can you do, man? They can't leave
It was
me alone.
encouraged, wasn't it? It was encouraged.